going to talk a little bit today about how to know exactly what products to stock for your business. Why am I talking to you about this? So I'm Ashley. I previously was the owner of Midnight Rambler. We were a multi-channel women's clothing consumer goods store, collective, and incubator for local artists. Currently, I'm the head of customer experience here at Thrive. I absolutely love helping businesses like yours every single day. And just a little side note, because it will come up later, my mom has been a wholesale clothing sales rep my whole life. So I've really grown up around inventory and buying and small business in general. So today's agenda, you just learned a little bit about me. We'll go over the basics of picking your product assortment. Then we'll really dig in a little deeper to a few things, the basics. When you're looking at product assortment strategies, there's three main ones that you can kind of choose for your business. You can choose a wide assortment, deep, or mixed. You also might start with one, then go into another. There's benefits to each of these. There's really no right or wrong. It just depends on your industry, what type of business you have. And in my mind, as long as you buy with intention, make data-driven decisions, and learn from your mistakes, you'll be good. So what is a wide assortment? A wide assortment is a strategy used when a store has a large product mix with a narrow variety of choices in each. So this tends to be like retailers who are targeting a more general audience. Really think department store on this one. Lots of different categories, lots of different brands, but maybe not buying all the variations. Then there's a deep assortment. So this strategy has an extensive selection of product variations under one product line. So specialty retailers, think like a candle shop, or we're seeing a plant shop open every other day. That's their strategy, going deep into one thing, really being the expert on it. Something that comes to mind, I am based in Denver, Colorado. We have this company called Maria's Empanadas. And since I moved here 12 years ago, Maria has been selling empanadas. First, I would see her food truck, and she opened a brick and mortar on South Broadway. And now you'll kind of notice her empanadas are literally all over town because she does wholesale. She's created multiple revenue streams for herself to all these different like coffee shops. So she started with a deep assortment, and she's stuck with the deep assortment for over a decade because that is simply what's working for her business, and the empanadas are fantastic. Then you have a mixed assortment. So this is what it sounds like. It's implementing both strategies. So you likely have a large number of merchandise categories, but then you choose the categories or the vendors that mean the most, and you buy deep into those. So you can think, we've all been into a coffee shop, and you see an assortment of coffee, assortment of pastries, but maybe the coffee shop realizes, like, I just sell the heck out of muffins. They just fly off the shelves. So they buy 6 flavors of muffins, but maybe of, the bread, there's only 2 flavors, or the Danish only has 1 flavor. Another example, and I will say love it or hate it, but I was at a marketing webinar once, and someone brought up Kylie Jenner, brought up the fact that she started being in the news for her lips, and it was, what did Kylie do to her lips? Then it kind of came out, of course, some cosmetic surgery, etc. But then she talked a lot about how she overlines them and the shade she uses, and like voila, she came out with this lip kit. And this lip kit like sold out, it kept selling out. She kept doing new variations of it, new colors. She collabed with different people. Well, then she was on Forbes for being a billionaire because she took what was working with her image, turned it into the lip kit, turned it into a full beauty line, and like now she's even selling shampoos and conditioners for children. So she has really started deep and went wide. So that's a little bit about the different strategies, wide, deep, or mixed. Of course, strategy is great, but you really have to pair that with research. So we recommend researching what your customers need and kind of what your competitors are doing. So when it comes to your customers, what products that you currently carry do they like? You can not only talk to them about this, but you can see it in reporting, right? You can see what they're buying repeatedly, what they're buying together with each other. You can say, what products do they wish you carried? Talk to them, literally ask them. What else do they want to see in your store? You can ask them on social media, you can ask them in person, in an email questionnaire, whatever works. Then how much are your customers willing to spend? This one's a little trickier because buying is emotional, and so sometimes you're really going to have to test this, because if you flat out ask them, they're probably not going to give you an accurate answer because they don't know what they'll feel at that time of buying. Also with customers, when it comes to customers, I love to tell people to make personas. So for my store, I had 4 different personas, and every time I was at a trade show, which is an overwhelming experience, there's hundreds of booths, thousands of options. You know, I have a dress sitting in front of me and a shirt, and I would say, which of my personas is going to wear this? Where are they going to wear this? What are they going to pair it with? And if I couldn't answer those questions, even if I loved the piece, it helped me take the emotion out of that again and say, look, of my 4 personas, I don't know who I'm buying this for, so it's probably not a good product for my business. And maybe it's not a made-up persona, maybe it's even a customer you know. Take some of your VIP customers that, you know, have different demographics for whatever reason and say, would Michelle buy this? Would Sally buy this? Would Ben buy this? Then we have competitor research. So what are your competitors carrying? This could be a competitor down the street or someone in a different state. I will say one of the best things I did when I started my store and was coming up with my own product assortment strategy is I called a boutique that I fully idolize still to this day in California. And we hopped on and had an hour-long conversation, not only about product assortment strategy, but just small business in general, tips and tricks, what she's seen work, what didn't work for her. And that was extremely valuable. I also got to go visit them in person, which was really cool a couple of years later. Ask what holes you can fill in the market. What are your competitors doing that are maybe missing the mark, or what do they not have? And how can you be there to fill that hole? What price ranges do they carry? Are you comfortable sticking with about the same price range, or do you want that to be a differentiator? And what products do they have that aren't selling? What are you seeing them put on sale a lot? Maybe if you are walking into the store, like what's always there and not moving? So again, do your research because the data doesn't lie. Also remember that the data will change. So doing your research once doesn't mean you're good to go. You definitely want to revisit this quarterly, monthly, at the very least annually, right? Okay, so let's dig in a little bit further. All right, reporting. Again, the data just doesn't lie. It will show you if it's working or not. So high selling products. We always want to keep these products in stock, right? Because they're our high sellers. If you've ever been to a bakery and they're out of something and you're like, what the heck? Sometimes it makes you not even want to go again. So you want to make sure you're stocking your highest sellers and that you can pick those out. One way you can pick those out is looking at a sell-through report. Which products have a really high sell-through rate, and consider stocking more of them. And I'll say, even if you aren't selling out, you might still want to stock more, because when a shelf looks empty, when there's, you know, one lonely thing sitting on the shelf, people aren't, it's not as appealing to buy it as when the shelf is a little bit fuller. And then for high selling products, you also want to think like, are there other variations or products like this that you should be carrying? So can you stock a new flavor? This is also a great way to run tests with your product assortment. So if you have something that's selling really well and you've been thinking like, should I start stocking extra large in my store? You could say, okay, these are my top selling products. I'm going to try extra large in those, because if it doesn't work there, it's probably not going to work for my store as a whole. Or maybe there's like a luxury edition of something that you can try for a high selling product. It might be out of your typical price range, but you're testing, will people have the emotional feeling to spend this much money with me to buy it? You can also, like, another great thing to do is if a product's working well, buy different variations of it seasonally, run seasonal specials, pair it with something else. Again, just make it feel really special for your buyers. It's also a great way to target marketing to them. Like, hey, you bought this, we're also carrying it in XYZ flavor now or XYZ color, come check it out. Then you've got your slow moving products. We hate them, but it happens. We learn from our mistakes. But when you see that a product is slow moving, when it has a really low sell-through rate, you can kind of ask yourself, is this product being positioned well? Is it being cross-sold well? Is there anything I can do to make it sell better? Then you might have to just say, you know what, am I just ready to put this on sale and totally take it off my next purchase order because it simply just is not moving well for me? And that's okay. Again, as long as we learn from those mistakes, you'll be good going forward. One thing to note here is you don't only want to do this for products, but you really want to do this for categories and vendors as well, because you can really look at like which categories sell well, and is there something else to buy within that category? Which vendors sell well? Is there more I can be buying from that vendor, or vice versa if a category or vendor isn't working? It can also help you point out anomalies. Say you have a product that is selling so well, it's one of your top 5 sellers, but that category as a whole isn't doing well. Okay, keep buying that top selling product, but maybe don't go, any deeper. Don't look for other variations. That product is just gold for some reason. So again, not only at the product level, but category and vendor level is so important. So research to capitalize on new opportunities. We've talked a lot about research. Here's a few ways to do it. Trade shows. I would always give myself an extra half day or day to literally just walk around and see if I found anything new. And a few times I picked up some really great things that was able to really differentiate my product offering. Vendors, so connect with them. These people, they're talking to businesses like yours every single day. Chances are a lot of them have been doing it for a long time too, longer than you've maybe owned your business. And so they're going to know what like-minded businesses are going through. They're going to know what's selling well, what their pain points are, things like that. And they'll give you honest advice. I really encourage you to create a really great relationship with your vendors, and I think it will go a long way. Social listening. So this is mostly, on social media. See what other stores like yours are talking about. Follow some of your top customers. That's one thing kind of at checkout sometimes I would say, okay, what's your phone number? What's your Instagram handle? And people are actually really willing to share that. And you can just kind of see, for me, I could see where they're wearing my clothes. I could see how they're pairing them with other things. It really helped me figure out like what other products they might be looking for, what they're buying, where else they're shopping. You can poll your followers, of course, on your stories. You can easily enter a poll. And this one I have gone down too many rabbit holes with, so maybe put a timer for yourself. But if you go onto an account, they'll suggest similar accounts to you, and that's a way that I personally would find new brands and new product all the time too. So then there's online marketplaces and what's trending there. Online marketplaces, things like Fair, Tundra, Handshake. Hopefully you've heard of one of these. If not, definitely check it out. They're a great way to not only find new products, but most of them let you test out these new products risk-free for 30 to 90 days. And who doesn't love that, right? Lastly, just don't forget to talk to your customers. Encourage your employees to talk to your customers. I think you'll find that sometimes they're even over eager to tell you their opinion. And lastly, don't forget to just educate yourself on the products that you do end up choosing based on your research, because when you learn more about a product, when you get excited about it, when you love it, you are just ultimately going to sell that product better. Because if you're not jazzed on it, how are you going to make your customer or your employees jazzed on it? Okay, choice paralysis, like a very real thing. So this is when you display lots of product variations to your customers and you run the risk of creating too many barriers before purchase. I was, doing some some reading on this and came across a study from Columbia and Stanford professors, and they tested offering 6 flavors of jam or 24, and more people made a purchase when 6 flavors were offered. Because think of like 24 flavors in front of you, and you're like, my gosh, how do I choose? I can't choose. Okay, if I can't choose, I probably don't want the jam that much. Like, okay, I'm leaving now. I don't know what to choose. So, you know, how to limit this and make sure it's quality, price, function, and appearance can all help with choice paralysis. A real world example for me is I go to the grocery store, to kind of like your run-of-the-mills grocery store, and right, like the chip aisle, envision the chip aisle. There's a whole aisle of chips. It's like 50, there might be 75 options there. I don't even know. And I'm like, okay, I just don't even want chips anymore. I don't know what to choose. But for me, if I go to Costco or Trader Joe's, 2 stores that are known for, you know, having really quality products that they've vetted, that have less choices, I honestly am more willing to take a risk there, even though it's almost insane. At Costco, you have to buy in bulk, and so I'm like committing to this product enough to buy it in bulk. But I know Costco is giving me quality. I know they've vetted the item, and they didn't give me hundreds of choices to look at. So it made it a little bit easier for me to commit to buying that. So don't put your customers in the place of choice paralysis. All right, products that help themselves. I think this is so key. Can there be an upselling opportunity, a cross-selling opportunity, or a bundling opportunity? These really just help you maximize your profits and move inventory quickly, which is what we all want. So, you know, upselling, can you add the extra charm to a charm bracelet? Can you add embroidery to a bag? Real world example, shoe cleaner with a new shoe. I went into Journeys and wanted some Birkenstocks, and the lady was like, oh, you definitely need this Birkenstock cleaner with your $150 Birkenstocks. And I'm like, cool, add it on. Have I used it? No. Did I think twice about purchasing it? No. So just ask yourself, like, which products can you easily upsell without your customers blinking an eye? That makes sense together. Then cross-selling, wine and food pairings, right? We see this all the time. A cool cross-selling in my high school days, I worked at a store called BCBG, and we sold a lot of formal wear. And when prom season came around, we would have a deal that if you bought a prom dress, then you would get half off of an evening bag. And people went for it all the time. So great cross-selling there. Then bundling. This is when you're selling 2 or more items together, like as a bundle. So think about a kit or a gift basket. An example here, I'm gonna bring my mom in again. She would always tell people, she sold kids clothing, and she would always tell people, you know, sell things in sets. Kids don't have a depth of their closet, so if you buy them a shirt, they probably don't have a bottom to match, or vice versa. And her customers always saw a lot of success selling things as a set. So all great things to think about. Again, when you're picking out these products, think to yourself when you're buying them, like, what am I going to merchandise with this with, whether it's in your brick and mortar or online? Could I suggest this alongside something else? Could I bundle it with something? What can I make as a special offering with it? All right, multi-location best practices, which, you know, if you've spread out into multi-location, that's absolutely wonderful. Or even if you're thinking about it, don't just assume that your customers at different locations have the same taste. And you're going to have to sit there and consider product assortments that set each location apart and fill the holes in the market at that location. I'm friends with someone who has a Pilates reformer business. I think she has about 6 locations in Denver. And we have this area of the city called Hilltop, and it's kind of our higher per capita income area. And she's like, my Hilltop location, merchandise flies off the rack. She's like, people don't even ask about the price, they just ring it up. She's like, I have other locations where it sits there and it's stagnant. And I'm telling you, some of these locations are 10 minutes away from each other, 15 minutes at most. And it can be that different. Or I'm gonna tell you guys, so I'm a mom of 3, and pre-kids, I live downtown. where most people without kids are living. And, I would go into different shops. I'd wander around. If I was running errands, I'd go to multiple stores. Post kids, I now live in the suburbs. And I'm like, if you don't have a drive-through, I'm not coming. I'm buying like clothes, electronics, groceries, and bedding at Target all at once versus going to different places. And that's just kind of the reality of it. And I share that because downtown versus the suburbs, people with very different demographics and ultimately probably different shopping habits. If the gas station had a pacifier, I'd probably buy it off the shelf. So that's a little bit about multi-location. And this one, test products before committing to them. Believe it or not, your vendors will probably be very happy to give you sample products for you and your staff to try. And if it's not a sample product, maybe it's even some pictures or something about those products where not only you and your staff can try it, but maybe even some of your VIP customers. I mean, that's a great way to make them feel extra special. You can leave something on display and ask shoppers what they think. Again, for me, I would go to market, I'd take pictures of things, and then sometimes when someone was checking out, I'd be like, come here, let me show you this, secret thing on the computer. What do you think about this dress? Like, should we stock it? Or what do you think about this new brand? I'm considering carrying them. Believe me, people love to give you their input. You can also always consider ordering a small quantity and promoting it during an event or pop-up shop. So definitely test before you buy, or buy small, dip your toe in, see if it works. All right, I have talked for long enough, I think, so I'd love to hear any questions that you guys have at this point.
That was awesome, Ashley. Thank you so much. So much great insight. We did have one question come through from Sharaf. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This was at the start of the presentation. It's, what are the hottest businesses trending that we can start with?
And Sharad, what industry were you in again?
I'm at new ventures we can look into in the vape industry.
Okay. I would say I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on what's trending in the vape industry right now, but I think just the best ways to find that is honestly by going to different trade shows and researching what your competitors are selling. I think that really just goes a long way. And trade shows can be a double-edged sword. It's probably not going to be helpful if you go to like 10 a year, but especially just making the investment to get yourself started with one. I think you'll absorb like a lot of information.
Great. Do you have any insight into other industries, Ashley?
Kind of depends on what we're talking about. I definitely, as you guys can tell, have a lot of background in retail, and I am lucky to talk to our Thrive customers day in and day out. So I have a pulse on certain different industries. I can say, for vape shops, that we just see them growing really fast right now, adding a lot of new locations all of the time. They are probably one anomaly where lots of flavors works to an extent. And an interesting thing I've seen there, and honestly across the board for industries, is that within your product assortment, and we didn't quite cover it today, but if there's anything that you can make and be the wholesaler of, so you gain higher profit margins on that and have different revenue streams to sell it through, I think that's always a win as well. And that kind of might be, what am I selling well? Could I, be the vendor for this somehow, or be the creator of it?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
We have a couple of discussion questions around, where do you personally in your business struggle the most on curating a product selection? And also on the other side, if you have any tips that could help anyone else here. If you would like to kind of share or ask some questions or advice, Ashley, do you have any personal experiences from your time running a store that you struggled with?
Yeah, I can definitely get us started on this. So One struggle that was for my business in particular, or I'll start with, okay, there's kind of two types of product ordering, right? There's businesses that reorder the same product over and over, and there's businesses, particularly fashion, where you're just getting new products all the time, right? Like I am not going to sell this kimono in this same print and color season after season. It's going to change. So I always really had to look at things at the category and vendor level and buy deeper into categories or decide to, slow my roll in certain categories or buy deeper into certain vendors. So that was one thing that was kind of a struggle. I always thought like how easy if I was just restocking the same product over and over again and could like really use hardcore data. Yeah, I think another struggle, let's see, sometimes was you yourself are a buyer, right? And so sometimes you're a little emotional. You're like, but this is the best product. Why isn't it selling? And sometimes you just have to come to terms with it's just not selling. I have to stop carrying it. So that's two things that I would say I struggled with from time to time.
Awesome. It sounds like Sharaf is having some issues or challenges with dead inventory. Do you have any best practices there?
Yeah, so I mean, I would definitely try putting it on sale. I think is the first thing. You might, depending on how dead it is, maybe you put a little bit of promotion dollars behind it if you do any like sort of Google marketing or social media marketing to really get it moving. I've seen beyond just doing a discount or a promotion, if you can ever have like a once a year just like blowout sale, and sometimes you might have to take a loss on certain things. But again, just learn from that mistake and don't make it again. Taking a loss sometimes is okay. Talk to your accountant. They can figure out, how to best make that loss work for you. You can also talk to your vendor sometimes and see if they'll do a trade. Just be like, hey, I bought this. I want to keep buying from you. This product just isn't working for me. And a lot of the times they can take it back and sell it to another shop that it will work for. I think you'll be surprised at how much they're willing to work with you sometimes. Lastly, kind of what we were talking about, like that cross-selling, that bundling. If a certain flavor isn't working well, can you use it in a summertime kit? Maybe it's kind of like your pipe, your vape juice, something a lighter, and it's all sold together. It's kind of a way to move some of those products that aren't selling well. I hope those get your creative juices flowing to kind of figure out what to do. And I guess lastly, I will say, again, I am not an accountant, so talk to your bookkeeper or a CPA, but inventory that you've seriously deemed as dead inventory, you can write off as well, and you want to make sure you take it out of your inventory value so that you're not taxed on it at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I'll just go through really quick. I think my biggest tips, again, just like don't be scared of the data. Start small. Whichever platform you're working with for inventory management, ask them about the reports, do some reading about them. Just don't be scared of the reports. A lot of them are made to be very user-friendly. And also, you do have to trust your gut a tiny bit too. That's why you started your businesses. That's why you're the owner, why you're the curator of the products. Okay, so additional resources. We've got this lovely QR code for you. You can go ahead and scan that. So we have our Thrive blog. I know Olivia is authoring some of those, and then we have some guest authors too that will talk to you about inventory, business tips and tricks, things like that. We have a lovely kit we made about Inventory Management 101. We have our weekly Power Up newsletter. We're not going to talk to you about our software and our business. We're going to give you, again, tips and tricks for running a successful business. And then soon we're going to have some small business interview shorts that we will be sending so you can hear from other business owners about what's working for them and what's not. All right, Now, I will talk to you a tiny bit about Thrive and how we can help you pick the correct product assortment. Reports, again, they are just so important. I also want to state one thing it was a pain point to me is some people would come to us and they'd say, what's my top selling product? What have I sold the most of? And you always want to say, well, what have you sold the most of? But really, what's your sell through? Because what if you have 400 still sitting on the shelf, but you sold 100? You have another product, you sold 50 and only 5 are left on the shelf. That's obviously a stark difference. So I say that because just make sure you know what you're looking at with the reports. So we have an awesome sales report, great inventory evaluation. You can break down all of our reports by categories or vendors. As we were talking about, sometimes you're not looking at a product analysis. You're looking at that vendor and that category analysis. Inventory by location. We have an awesome dead inventory and unsold product report. You can say, show me all the products that haven't sold in X amount of days. We all know we have like our turns. We want to sell through something maybe in 90 days. If you're a coffee shop, you want to sell through it in 1 day, right? And so you can say, show me any products that haven't sold for X amount of days. And that's a really good way to say like, okay, this needs to go on sale, or something needs to happen to make this product move because I paid money for it and I've been sitting on it for way too long. We have a stock forecasting report that will show you how much time you have before you're going to be out of that product. So based on your historic sales, we say, hey, you have a week and 3 days left in stock of this product, aka it's probably time to reorder it, because again, we don't want empty shelves. We don't want to miss sales on our top products. There is also a sell-through report, which is really great because it's a percentage and you can really compare apples to apples there based on what you received versus what was sold. So then we can help you really automate your reordering. You can pick your products, but then reordering and placing orders is a whole process in itself. And any automation there, I promise, is super helpful. So you can customize low inventory alerts, set minimum and maximum order levels. So hey, I want to place a reorder anytime this product goes below 12 in quantity. And when I place that reorder, I want it to order up to this many. We can send and track purchase orders and have pretty robust vendor reporting. Just a few other things that we can do for you. We can help control your catalog, help you maintain your catalog, keep it clean. We can track complex inventory, so those bundles, those gift baskets, recipes, bill of materials. We can really help you track that, which can also help with dynamic selling, allowing you to sell the same product in multiple ways, whether it's part of a gift basket or sold separately, wine sold by the glass or by the bottle. We can simplify your supply chain overall. And ultimately, our mission is to help you scale and grow your business. So for any of you here today, we really would love to invite you to try Thrive for 30 days for free. Just to send us an email at sales@thrivemetrics.com and you'll get our special onboarding offer. That's going to be an hour-long demo with a dedicated account specialist, a 30-minute complimentary setup call just to make sure your setup is easy, smooth, and correct. And then we'll give you a complimentary bundle assembly modifier and or meta training call to go along with that.
You can feel free to email us or chat into us at any point, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions.